Heavy rainfall, potentially life-threatening flash flooding and widespread riverine flooding continue across much of northern Queensland today. Taking a look at our satellite and radar imagery from the last 12 hours or so, we can see clouds swirling around the monsoon trough and a monsoonal low pressure system which is sitting over northwestern Queensland. Now, these features are producing several areas of rainfall that we want to focus on. Firstly, through the northwest of the state, we can see rain wrapping around the monsoonal low pressure system. Now, in the 24 hours to 9 o'clock this morning, these parts of Queensland have seen widespread falls of 50 to 150 millimetres, with a couple of locations pushing up towards or above 200 millimetres. We have another area of heavy rainfall on our radar though, the North Tropical Coast, particularly between Cairns and Townsville. We've got onshore winds feeding moisture into this area, feeding it into rain and thunderstorms. A few locations along this stretch of coast have seen rainfall totals up to 300 or 350 millimetres in the 24 hours to 9 o'clock this morning. Now, because of the rainfall that we've seen in the past 24 hours and what we're expecting in the days to come, it's unsurprising that our severe weather warnings for heavy rainfall continue for both of these areas. Focusing on our severe weather warning across inland parts of the state first of all, it's really for those heavy falls wrapping around the low pressure system today. We could see 6-hourly rainfall totals of 40 to 70 millimetres, with some locations potentially seeing up to 100 millimetres across a 6-hour period. Now, riverine flooding is already ongoing in these areas, and we could also see impacts to agriculture and livestock. Moving to the North Tropical Coast now, our severe weather warning for heavy rainfall extends from areas around Cairns down to around Townsville. Now, we've seen a little bit of an easing in rainfall through these areas this morning, but we're expecting the rain to ramp up once again later today, particularly overnight tonight into early Wednesday. We could see 2 to 6 hourly rainfall totals of 100 to 180 millimetres, with some areas seeing as much as 220 millimetres across this kind of a time frame. Now, this is a lot of rain to fall in a short space of time, and it will lead to flash flooding in some areas, particularly as these parts of the country have already seen several hundred millimetres of rain in the past few days. Now, in response to this ongoing risk of heavy rainfall, we do still have large areas covered by flood watches and flood warnings across the north of the country. So looking at our flood watch and flood warning areas as of around 10:30 on Tuesday morning, we do have moderate to major flooding across parts of northwestern and western Queensland. Road closures and community isolation are already impacting some parts of the state. We do also have some minor flood warnings in place for the North Tropical Coast and across the border across northeastern parts of the Northern Territory. In addition to that, we have widespread flood watches extending from eastern parts of the Northern Territory through northwestern and western Queensland and towards the east coast there. The flood watches are flagging where flooding may develop over the coming days. Now, this situation is dynamic as the rain continues to fall, and it is likely we will see these flood warning areas added to or increased in severity over the coming days. At the moment, in particular, we want to focus on the Flinders and Cloncurry rivers. The Flinders River is currently sitting at major flood level, and the Cloncurry River is currently a moderate flood warning. These two areas are some of the key parts which may see that heavy rainfall continuing today. So let's take a look at exactly what's driving this heavy rainfall and flooding risk and how that will play out through the next few days. So today, our monsoonal low pressure system lingers over the northwest of Queensland, dragging in moisture and feeding into those heavy falls through the northwest. Similarly, on the North Tropical Coast, we're likely to see that heavy rain continuing, ramping up later today. As we go into tomorrow, that's when we could see some real convergence along the North Tropical Coast, so moisture coming together and feeding into a heightened risk of heavy falls. However, through the course of our Wednesday, we are likely to see that onshore flow and the low pressure system across the northwest of the state gradually starting to weaken out. That means our risk of widespread heavy rainfall is expected to become more isolated. It's still possible as we go through Thursday and Friday, but it's becoming less likely that we'll see those very high rainfall numbers. Nonetheless, we are expecting high rainfall accumulations. This is our rainfall accumulation forecast from midnight last night all the way out to 11 o'clock on Friday evening. Now, as you can see, we've still got those two areas of interest, the northwest of the state and the North Tropical Coast. These areas have seen significant rain already over the past few days, and they're likely to see several hundred millimetres more accumulating over the coming period, particularly around that monsoonal low over the northwest. Of course, the highest rainfall numbers are more likely to be tied to thunderstorms, so over the next few days it's also a good idea to keep an eye on the Bureau's radar, as we may need to issue severe thunderstorm warnings for some areas on top of the severe weather warnings for heavy rainfall. Now, as this situation continues to develop, you can always find the latest forecasts and warnings via the Bureau's website, the Bomb Weather app and via our social media. Stay safe and we'll catch you next time.